All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome. We are just letting everyone come in from the waiting room, so we'll give it just a second. All right. I think we got a few folks in here now, so we will go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone. My name is Katie Fitzgerald. I am the Director of Operations with YPC Media, and welcome to our last webinar of the year. I'm joined today by Nicole Reggie, one of our Senior Business Development Executives. So, Nicole, thanks for coming and joining the last one of the year here today.
Yeah, glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're really excited today to kind of go through just as we've been looking back at this year at 2025. We've really started diving into a lot of the statistics that we have access to between our customers, what's going on in the industry, and really our goal today is to go through what we're seeing that's working, that has worked through this entire year, where we have our sights set for next year, and looking at some of these insights from the businesses that we've been able to work with. So let's dive right in. Our agenda for today, again, is to just go through some things that we see businesses consistently getting right, especially local businesses, where we see business owners losing customers. So we want to look through those opportunities that we have, the role of your reviews, your listings, your content, and how you are showing up online. We're going to dive in a little bit to the nitty gritty of how Google is evaluating your business. So, how those searches are happening and how you're coming up. And then, of course, let's look at some improvements that we can do in 2026. So, the last few housekeeping items, we will have time for Q&A throughout. So, if you guys see your question bar at the bottom of the Zoom here, feel free to enter those at any time. Nicole and I will answer those as we go. And then we'll have some of our contact info at the end to make sure that you have a way to connect with us. So let's get going right in here, Nicole. And really, as we start talking about what we see that local businesses are doing right, we're seeing that these high performing businesses aren't doing more things. We just see that they're doing the basics consistently. So, really important to say we're not going to just sit here today and say, oh, you need to sign up for this or you need to add more to your program. Let's talk about the basics and some of those things. So, we have a lot of cool stats that Nicole, let's get right into.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's important to really hone in on that consistency piece because you don't have to like add things constantly, right? It's just a matter of like, what do we have in place right now and be consistent with that. So some of the high performing accounts, what we've seen is that their average number of calls, and this is the website, we're going to go through that real quick. So on the average scale, we're seeing about 70 calls per month from organic traffic. So this is from our accounts, it's anyone from like, a contractor, an insurance agent, real estate agent. So it's everyone combined, but that's really the average as a business account online. We're seeing about 70 calls per month. If you don't know what your average is, ask us so we can show you where to find that information. So at least you have a baseline so we can put some goals in place for next year and track that. So as far as website visits, we're seeing about 1,100 website clicks organically driven through on a monthly basis. And the average Google rating is around 4.8. So this is really important because a lot of people get really stuck on that 5.0 score or perfect score. And if you even ask ChatGPT right now, it's going to tell you that the average, the most ideal rate is actually between 4.6 and 4.9 or 4.8, believe it or not. And that's because the average customer looks at that. And sometimes if something seems too good to be true, it may be, right? And not always the case, but they start to wonder like, did you pay for those reviews? Like, are you holding them hostage to give you a review? So it sometimes works in your favor if you don't have a perfect score. Of course, we want to strive for a better score, but don't get honed on, if it's not perfect, it may actually work in your favor. And then as far as posting regularly on Google, we're seeing that on the average, high performing accounts are posting about 4 reviews or 4 Google posts a month. So that's kind of the bare minimum like that we typically recommend. But if you do more, it's going to only benefit you. So what I recommend you do is look to see what your local competition is currently posting. How often are they posting? And where are you in comparison to that? So it gives you an idea of like what to work towards. I don't want you to feel overwhelmed if someone is posting all the time or, a couple of times a day or even daily. We can start at a smaller scale and work our way up. So there's, processes we can put in place for that. We can help, we can work with you and your team member, et cetera. But the very, very base, we are seeing at least 4 posts a month. So that's 1 post a week. That's super easy to do. So key factors here is consistently updating your business information, active Google business profile and social media accounts, of course, and a steady flow review. So that is what helped all of these stats come into play. So keep in mind, one thing that is really, really important right now is not only for your ranking on the Google platform, but as a conversion tool, helping you win that view into a call or a visit to the website is going to be those reviews for sure. So making sure that we have a process in place for your team members to get those Google reviews is going to be super important.
Yeah, I
Okay.
feel like reviews is a huge thing that we're going to constantly harp on. I feel like it's something that comes up in every webinar every month. But with the rise of AI, just the amount of information that AI is pulling from reviews is really astounding. And again, this is really important to note. These are all just organic stats that Nicole's
Mhm.
reviewing. So this has nothing to do with any sort of paid. This is just what's generating from having a Google business profile, having your information up on online. So as we kind of shift into where do we see customers losing it, you're going to see a lot of similar trends here. So one is not updating hours. And what we mean by that is, yes, of course, your hours probably stay the same throughout the year. But there are the occasional times where maybe you have summer hours, or this week coming up here between Christmas and New Year's. Are you going to adjust your team's schedule a little bit, your own schedule, making sure that that information is accurate, not just on Google, making sure that it's across any listings is super important. We know that, of course, Google's king, but people do use, Bing for their programs. They use Apple Maps. They do find you in other ways. So it's important to have that information out there. And this is something too that as we get into at the end, you can get set up for the entire year. You don't have to just do it as the holidays come up. Of course, our team always is going to remind you as those holidays do come up. But if that's something that you set at the beginning of the year, you can get that done in advance and be ready to go. The second thing that we see is outdated phone numbers or not tracking your phone numbers. So yes, we even mean on your Google business profile, it's possible to put a tracking phone number there as long as, it matches what is on your website. But it is important to know what traffic's coming in from that. Like Nicole just said, on average, 70 calls a month. Wouldn't it be awesome to know the data on those calls that are coming in to see if that's a good lead of business for you for new customers? Or having outdated phone numbers is also a big no-no, right? If you do start diving into where you do have multiple tracking numbers for different things, making sure that those stay updated, that all of it's working is super important. It's good to check that quarterly and just make sure that that process is working. The third thing on this list is unanswered reviews. So this is one of the things that we hate at YPC is to see unanswered reviews sitting on your profile. It's such a missed opportunity for giving your input, one, but also just to really put more SEO terminology and more keywords into your response. So leaving that review, even if it's just one of those that somebody left you 5 stars and they didn't say anything. Really easy for you to either look up that customer to see what the experience may have been and add in your own keywords to that, or just a good opportunity to reply and reiterate how good of a job that you did with them, or maybe talk about some of the products or services that you sold them, if that's something that's allowed in your industry. Being able to utilize that space, right? We don't want to leave any missed opportunities. The fourth thing here is no consistent content strategy. So every now and then we see business owners that are just posting when they can. And of course, we'd rather say yes, post when you can than not at all. But putting together a consistent strategy is going to be more beneficial than to just kind of willy-nilly throw a post up here and there when you have time. And then the last thing is not optimizing for AI trends. So, like I already had mentioned a little bit, we're seeing reviews are having a huge impact on AI results. And um, as AI becomes more of a search trend, and especially for searching for local businesses, I'm sure a lot of you have already started performing your own searches or trying to see where your business stacks up in AI. A lot of them are pulling information from reviews, FAQs that exist on your website or social media channels. All of these pieces are really beneficial for that. So making sure that your website, your social channels, your GBP, your listings, all of those are optimized for that is going to be really important going into next year, especially.
I actually have a story about
I saw you kind of giggling over
yeah,
there.
because what was it, a year and a half ago or so when I was pregnant with my son, I was craving ice cream so bad, and I never crave ice cream. Like I'm not a cold food
Yeah.
person, and I was thinking it was like in the middle of winter, and so like last thing I would ever crave, and I was craving it. And I don't know if you guys know Abbott's, but it's a very popular ice cream, like soft serve ice cream place here in Rochester, and there's one in Fairport where I live. And we went, and I was so excited. I could literally taste it, and their hours were wrong. And I was so upset. And man, I almost turned into a Karen and blew up their social media because I was so upset.
Bad
And
review, right?
I held back because I know they're like low, individually owned, and I want to put them on blast, but it really made me upset. And it's something so
Yeah.
simple that a business owner really needs to take account for and be proactive on updating those hours, because it can really give you
Absolutely.
a poor experience as a
Well, I
customer.
think that's the perfect, experience for something like that is that
Mhm.
it's also important to, and I mentioned it, but I want to reiterate it, not just doing it on your Google business profile, because I know a lot of us just have access to that, but a lot of iPhone users use Apple Maps, right?
Mhm.
What if it's
Yeah,
incorrect to that? Like you want to make sure it's accurate everywhere that people might search. Um,
absolutely.
so very, very important pieces here, but I want to hand it back over to you to kind of talk about some of these newer Google updates that we're seeing too.
Yeah, this is really exciting. So Google has some really cool updates coming. They're starting to implement. I have not seen this on my phone, so I'm sure I'm like next in line. But the traditional Q&A is going to be retired. It's going to be gone, and it's going to be taken over by AI. And what that means is Gemini AI is now going to generate instant answers for users based on your Google profile, what it finds on your website, reviews, and structured like data like FAQs. So it's a little intimidating, right? Right off the bat, because you feel like you can't really manipulate the questions, and then the answer as a business owner can be scary. I get it, because now Gemini is going to pull that information based on what it finds. And if it doesn't find that answer, it's not going to show it. As a result, you may have just potentially lost an opportunity to help a customer, right? So it's going to then show another business. So how to stay ahead of this is we need to really strategize, think about questions, information that local customers are searching for locally about the products and services that you guys offer, and let's put a plan together on how we can publish that information on these platforms, whether it's Google Business Profile, your website, making sure that you have an FAQ page on your website, and then also be proactive on the reviews. When asking for reviews, try to be as specific as possible for that customer to implement those key terms in the review, and then also in the response as well. So this is really, really exciting, but definitely we need to stay ahead of it and be proactive on making sure that we're publishing the information that we want to show up for in those results. So additional new features like know before you go is super exciting too. It's something different that Google has rolled out, and it's a new AI powered section on Google profiles and in Google Maps. And it gives a user like a quick practical insight about the business before they even visit. So you may have seen this on your app, but basically like instead of showing like the static business information like hours and address and photos, which is still really important, the feature uses Gemini to generate useful insider tips So it's essentially like asking your best friend for like the inside scoop of like that restaurant, right? If a new restaurant opened up, my girlfriends are the first to go to that restaurant to visit because we just love food and eating. And if I'm thinking about going, I'm going to ask my friend Kendra for info on, all right, what's the scoop? Parking, like what's the best menu item? And she's going to tell me the honest truth, right? The insider scoop about that business. Get there early. You don't want to get there late because you're not going to get a seat, etc. So this is exactly what this feature is going to help give the customer. So think about that, right? So it's going to give information like the best time to visit, the parking information, frequently ordered services or products or menu items. So I want to challenge you guys to think about in your business right now, if you a roofing company, a contractor, a salon owner, an insurance agent, whatever it is, and you have especially brick and mortar, what is the idea about that business? What is the insider scoop? What would people say about you guys when a customer walks in, right? What is their experience? Try to then incorporate that information on your website, on your Google profile. So if it's, kid friendly, you have a little section that's dedicated to kids when they come in. If you are a restaurant, it is kid friendly. Those are the things that I now am looking for being a mom of a 16-year-old boy who runs around like crazy all the time. I'm looking for that when I'm choosing a restaurant nowadays, right? The things that I used to look for now are different. So I need that kid-friendly experience. And if I see that in the result, that's going to help me make that decision on where we're going to go out to dinner. So think about that. Do you offer a coffee when you walk in? It's very friendly. Those are the things that we want to try to strategize to then publish onto your website so it helps with those results. Another cool feature is the Explore tab on the mobile app. And this basically attributes the user to like trendy, popular places nearby. So, especially for when you're traveling, you're looking for local businesses, etc. It's going to also give you additional options on what's nearby, cafes, diners, etc. So it's like a dynamic list that shows what's currently hot in the area that you may care about: kid-friendly seating, accessibility quirks, popular questions that customer may care about, things like that. So I know it's a lot, but we have to start somewhere. So having the conversation, even with your team members, to see like, what do you think people are saying about us? Like, let's try to gather any little thing that really separates us from our competitors that really sets us apart and publish that, right? Showcase that so that it can be found when people are shopping for and helping them make the decision on who they want to work with. So those are some cool tips coming down the pipeline and updates.
Yeah, these have been really cool updates. I thought the Explore tab was actually really neat when I saw that. And of course, this is the screenshot from my phone. Um, it's showing me like one of those kids play cafes near my house. That one really was a lot about the proximity. So things that are super close to my house. It was you can see it was 9:19 in the morning, so it was offering me some breakfast spots. So a lot of that has to do with those. And I love where you're going with it, Nicole, of like, okay, so how do we manipulate this, right? Like, how do
Mm-hmm.
we get your business to show up for the things that you want? Um, but as we've been like diving into this know before you go, it's all being pulled from reviews. They're treating all of those Google accounts that have left reviews for the business as those insiders and offering the information based on what they've referenced in their review. So the example of our listing there, when we went over, I clicked into the are they good for small businesses? It went and it basically reiterated and was like, yes, Heather and so said that they had a really good experience and they're a small business owner and referenced those reviews right in there. So just another reason showing how important those are. But to kind of segue into, okay, how does Google actually evaluate your business? So there's been many algorithms over the past few years with Google, and they've updated this EAT model that they've had. It used to actually only have one E, now it has two. So their algorithm actually is called the E algorithm, and it stands for experience, expertise, authority, and trust. So these are the four key components that when someone enters a search query into Google, they use this algorithm to generate search results for that. So as they look through some of these, we wanted to leave you all with some tips today to, how do you enhance your business to make sure that you're shown as, the most experienced, have the most expertise, have the right authority and the trust to be able to be the one coming up when someone does that search result. So everything revolves around how that individual searched. So what info they said, whether it's, you know, they wrote insurance agent near me, or they're trying to find best insurance agent or the expert, whatever it may be. And they're taking all of these pieces into account. So when Google's looking for, okay, who has the most experience? They're looking for the proof of that, right? They're going to look for before and after photos of your service or your product. They're going to look for a case study or a success story from a customer to make sure that, you do have that experience and it's proven. They're going to look for blogs or jobs that have been completed where you're featured. They're going to also look for testimonials from real customers. So again, this reviews. Um, it's important to show behind the scenes work of, your process or your photos. So all of these pieces can be displayed on your Google business profile, right? Also on your website. So these are a few of the things to kind of show that level of experience, but it's what Google wants to confirm before they would show you as a result for a search term. So for expertise, one of the ways that you can impact your expertise, I guess I would say, is to publish blogs answering common questions. And a lot of this is, blogs, but it could also go for social content, right? So if you don't have a blog necessarily on your website, it's also good to be featured on other websites in their blogs, but also publish this as your own social media content. So sharing tips with your customers that they're asking every day, so your FAQs, explaining how your services work to show off your expertise, right? Making sure you show that you have all of the ins and outs. Everything's educational now, right? Everyone's their own expert in some way, but they want to see it from that accredited business. Making videos demonstrating your expertise. So that's, again, something that you can do on your social channels. And then keeping your website accurate and updated helps show all of your expertise. So experience and expertise can kind of go hand in hand, all really heavily content based as far as what you can do to better situate your business to show up for these. But as we go into authority, it's a really big piece of reviews. So getting high quality reviews, so people that leave you them with multiple words, not the ones that are just the 5 stars without any context. Be listed across directories like Google, Yelp, and industry specific sites. So understanding which ones are really beneficial for your industry. So like if you're a real estate agent or like you've been referencing a contractor, that making sure that the sites that matter for you, like Zillow or what have you, to be referenced there. Participating in community events. I feel like it's something a lot of our account team talks to you all about. And I know that there's so many local business owners that do a lot in their community. And sometimes it can feel icky to be posting it on social media, right? Like that's not why you're doing it, whether it's, things that you're donating to or that, but it does help you build that authority within your local community. So just being able to show that on there, you're doing it not for the good clout, I guess. You're doing it for that back end SEO, right? And then getting featured in things like podcasts, articles, local partnerships, and being tagged in them appropriately, being posted on other websites, all help your authority. And then the last thing is trust. So making sure that all of your information, if you work with us at YPC, you know that NAP that our team talks about all the time, but making sure that your name, address, phone number, and we added hours here, are accurate across all of your business information online. It really does impact when Google sees it misplaced, even just one spot where when it runs this algorithm, it won't trust you. So making sure that that info is consistent is super important. Responding to reviews, so both positive and negative, having a secure website. So this is something that, I feel like is pretty common nowadays to have that secure website. If you aren't sure, you can look at in your URL when you're on your website, you'll see that S at the end of the HTTP. So that would show that your website's secure. You list your policies, guarantees, or information, terms of service, you name it. Those are accurately described and displayed on your website. And then showing real photos of your team, your business, and your work all on there. So as you've seen, it's a lot of the same stuff that goes into four different categories here, but really a heavy premise on content, your reviews, and showing your work. So making sure that that is a key component in your plan for 2026 is going to be really, really important. So those were a lot of tips, but let's go, Nicole, for the last few minutes here. Let's talk about things that business owners can do for 2026.
Yeah, absolutely. So easy improvements that you can make heading into the new year. First, we kind of talked about it already, but it's really important to make sure that we are aware of all of your hours of operation, any closures that you're going to have throughout the year. It's really important to just plan ahead. You definitely don't want an angry pregnant woman knocking at your door about cleaning clothes on the wrong time. So building a simple review request process, super important. We have a bunch of different ideas that we've heard other business owners implement into their systems and process. The hard part is just coming up with the process and implementing it right with your team. But once it's done, it becomes part of it. It's super easy from there. And it's really rewarding too, from as the team member itself being mentioned for those reviews, etc. So develop a plan for consistent content across all of your platforms. We have a free calendar that we can provide you that gives you a little bit of a blueprint of like what to post, when to post, the content to post. So you're not scratching your head every day, like, what the heck am I going to post this week? It gives you a little bit of help and guidance into the type of content to post. So feel free to reach out about that. But think about where to post. It's going to be on your website, your Google, your Facebook, Instagram. LinkedIn is not for every industry. Keep that in mind. Don't get overwhelmed by that. And then we can talk about that, whether it makes sense for your business or not. But that is also an addition to. Get more aggressive on getting more leads, right? Like we want to dominate next year. So there's definitely changes that are happening with Google click to call campaign come 2026. So we're happy to share that information with you guys and make sure that we're staying in front of it. But there's also awesome opportunities that's coming down the pipeline with Google ads and AI searches and all of that. So we want to make sure that our clients are going to win for 2026. So we're really excited to really have a strategy session with you guys. If you are one of our clients, let's get together. Let's talk about your goals for next year, your plans. What do we need to do? What are we seeing works best for your industry? And let's implement that, because with everything that we do, we are exclusive to one agent. But one of the biggest things that we're seeing a lot of, especially independent agents, captive agencies, when we're talking about the insurance industry specifically, but every business should have this already, is their own website. This has been like huge for a lot of our clients, and mainly because it allows you to be so much more flexible with collecting and tracking leads. So we know as a captive agent, you really can't track anyone that comes to your site. So it's missed opportunities for retargeting them through a Facebook ad or a programmatic campaign. Like we're just losing opportunities because we're not able to track or capture that agent or that customer. It's unfortunate. So a lot of people are shifting to having their own site and taking advantage of being able to be really flexible and proactive on targeting ads and retargeting ads. So with that, if you already have a website developed, think about what we talked about earlier, questions and answers, FAQs, implementing that into your site, potentially running, a blog, a weekly blog or a monthly blog to help with those results for those searches that are happening, the queries that people are searching for. But the most exciting part too, and we saved it for last, is Hello Nation. So this is a brand new product and partnership that YPC has developed in the last few months, and we're super excited about it. we only have like a minute. Well, no, it's 12:30 right now, so we're going to go over for a little bit.
It's
But
okay.
really, this is one of the coolest things that I've seen in a very, very long time being in marketing for over what, 15 years. So we're super excited to be part of this partnership. It allows agency owners, business owners to be revealed as the expert in their market in the AI overview. And I'm going to be bold to say this, but no one else has the ability to do this. I was skeptical at first. I will be very honest with you. Now I understand exactly how they're doing it, and it's amazing. And if you're interested in learning more about how to take advantage of the AI overview search result, we need to talk because this is a first come, first serve opportunity. But this is where we're shifting, right? Consumer behavior is changing. It's not about the clicks anymore. It's about being the answer when someone is searching for a specific long language query. So we want our clients to have access to this first. So, if you're interested in learning more, let us know. But I just want to say thank you everyone for joining us, Katie and I, on this webinar. I hope there was
Yeah.
some golden nuggets for you, and feel free to reach out to us and get in touch with any questions that you have.
Yeah, I switched to this quickly because if you are interested in that Hello Nation product, you can email both Nicole or myself to get an appointment for something like that. But you can also join our Facebook group. We always post a lot of exclusive information there and offer any additional Q&A and just some extra info over there. So thank you all for joining today's webinar. We hope that everyone has a great holiday and a good new year. We will see you in 2026. And then just as I'll leave it as a reminder, because there's still a lot of people on here, YPC will be closed for Christmas and for New Year's. So make sure you just check our hours as well if you're looking to get in touch with somebody here. But we will see you all in 2026. Thanks, Nicole, for joining me.
Thank you.